All right, guys, it's great to have you here once again. Today, we are looking at a concept in programming, object oriented programming. Okay, maybe you come across this concept and you having this video is here to espouse this concept of object oriented programming. Hey, if you're coming across this channel, kindly like and subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up to keep us going. All right, basically we are going to look at this term and compare it vis-a-vis with procedural programming, and then we look at the basic pillars of object-oriented programming, and we look at some examples. So basically, what is object-oriented programming? It is a programming technique. Just type it out. A programming technique that focuses on organizing codes around objects. He said he hasn't reached the heights this season, just the one Premier League goal until now. Okay, around objects. And you may want to ask, what is an object? Basically, in programming, an object is a reward identity, having attributes, entity, and identity and behavior. So that is an object. And we want to look at the basic difference between object-oriented programming and procedural programming. So there's what we call procedural programming. Just a little dive into this. If we talk about this, we are using, it's more like a step-by-step approach or step-by-step method. Step-by-step approach to break down a task into functions through sequence of instruction. Okay, I'm going to take you through my code block, and you have this code. And what does this do? It basically calculate the square of a number. Okay, you have this the main function here. Okay, then you have this basic function here. What we are talking about, this is a basic procedural approach to programming. This is a C program that calculates the square of a number. So if you want, this is step-by-step breaking code into bits, into function, all right, to achieve a goal or accomplish a task. So that is the idea behind procedural programming. But in object-oriented programming, we are talking about organizing code around objects. Okay, you are building object, organizing your code around objects. So there are basic pillars of object-oriented programming, which we are going to be looking at shortly. One of them is encapsulation. Then we have another one. We have abstraction. Abstraction. Then we have inheritance. Let me align this very well. Then we have inheritance, and lastly we have what we call polymorphism. Okay, so we gradually look at this concept and we try and break it down so that we understand what we are talking about here. Let me bring this down here. So by encapsulation, what do we mean by this technique? Basically, in object-oriented programming, encapsulation is just a method of binding of data and method that manipulate data into a single unit known as a class. So we've talked about creating object, and object is just an instance of a class. And basically here, encapsulation, you just want to bind data, and data are attributes as well as method. Of course, you should know that method are functions that manipulate data into a single unit known as a class. So you can create as many class as you can create objects from your classes, so you can create as many objects as possible. So that is the idea behind encapsulation. Okay, then we have another term here, which is what? Which is abstraction. So basically, by abstraction, we are creating classes or interface that hide the internal details and expose only the functionality that the user need. So let me just write here, hide internal details, just a little to help you understand that. Basically, take for instance, everyone use chat GTP these days, but not up to 5% or just a 2% of persons, those that develop those stuffs, they are the one that actually understand how it works. Programmers, developers, and all those people understand how it works, but the end users, the users of such applications, do not basically understand how they work. Apart from ChatGPT, you have others, such as you use the internet. You may not really have to explain how the data, how it bring data. You go to Google, you search items, you might not really understand the algorithms behind on these things. So what you just know is you open your phone, go to Google, you search for any concept, you see it there, and you get your result. That's what you're interested in. All the back codes or everything that makes it work might not really concern you. So that is abstraction. It's very important concept in object oriented programming. Then we have another concept, which is what? Inheritance. What do we mean by this? It's a concept that allows you create new classes based on existing ones. By inheritance is just what it is. You are inheriting attributes. You are inheriting properties and functions from existing ones. So you want to create classes from pre-existing ones, so basically that's the idea, and this actually gives room for code reusability, and it reduces redundancy. You don't want to keep writing too much code to just carry out a task. Basically, meanwhile you can reuse the same code over and over again. So that's the idea behind inheritance. Then we are looking at the concept of polymorphism, but before then, let me illustrate these properties. Basically, sorry, properties are is very important. Again, let me put this down. So properties are variables basically, and functions a method, or methods are functions. Either way you look at it, it is what it is. So polymorphism, which is the fourth concept in object-oriented programming, or the pillar of object, the fourth pillar. By poly, the word poly, this, by poly we mean many. Poly, you should be, yeah, it means many. The morphism means form. So by the concept of polymorphism, we are describing a pattern in object-oriented programming in which classes have different functionalities. I believe you understand that classes have different functionalities while sharing a common interface. I'm going to illustrate that to you. Okay, classes have different functionalities while sharing an interface. So take for instance, we have the word cut. To illustrate this, we have the word cut. So the word cut will mean different things to these people. All right, let's say the actor. Okay, you have another set of person, a hairstylist, and you have a surgeon. Okay, so the word cut is going to mean different things to these different persons. Okay, right? So to an actor, cut will mean that he should stop um acting. All right, he should stop. That maybe they want to fix something. To a hairstylist, to cut means, you know, you want to shave your hair, you want to cut your hair. Then to a surgeon, to cut means to create an incision. All right, so that is basically the concept behind polymorphism. We are creating different classes have different functionality while sharing a common interface. So the common interface here will be cut, but it will mean different things in different instances. So basically that is the concept behind polymorphism. So let's jump right into here. Let me show you. Okay, we have this class. This is a code on OOP, just a simple one. We have this class, then we have different attributes or different instances of this class which are called object. Okay, we have and this a first instance, dog1. Okay, we have a second. So basically you can see that what we do in object oriented programming is that we are creating classes. All right, this is just a Python code. We are creating classes, and lastly we access the class and instance attribute by this. Okay, so we are creating classes. So basically this is the idea behind object oriented programming. In this class we create different instances of the class which are called what? Object. So I believe that makes sense to you. Again, so once you have a class, you can create instances, like I said, instance of that class which are actual object based on the class object. Basically a class is more like a prototype or a skeleton for doing something, and an object, like we said, is a reward entity, have the attribute identity and behavior. So you could have a car, you are talking about the color of the car, the model, and the speed. All right, and the car we have attributes such as start stop